What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a very exciting unboxing video. I would say a little bit of storytelling is going to happen as well, so brace yourself. In this box, I have a 10-foot Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Indiana Jones style bullwhip. This exact box is not the one that I received from the original owner. It was purchased on eBay. I received that just a few days ago. The reason why it's in this box is because it came from Torrance of Swordguy builds, great friend of mine. I'll get to detail as to why he had it in just a second. As mentioned, a little bit of storytelling. Back in Thanksgiving of 2019, I was calling Kirk to wish him a happy Thanksgiving. Him and I were going off of a bunch of different tangents, like we always seem to. Eventually, we got on the topic of how we both wanted a Crystal Skull bullwhip. Fast forward to today, the idea that we were originally planning was if or when we ever did, we were going to split the cost and the custody. A part of my pastime when I have nothing better to do, I go on eBay and look for Indiana Jones gear. Neighbor's dogs are out. I happened to come across a used Kingdom of the Crystal Skull bullwhip made by Bernardo Del Carpio. Perhaps the best indie whip maker of all time. Hands down. I will leave that open to an argument in case anyone seems to think otherwise. Along with the maker of the whip, the price was immaculately low. Ultimately, you could not get a better deal on this whip. I immediately sent Kirk a link to that page on eBay, and him and I both agreed to split the cost. I paid it in full, he paid me the other half. Now we both get to share this extremely nice whip. Now, as I said also, this came from Tori. The whip is in great condition other than the fall hitch. When I received it, it was in need of a redo. It needed rehitched, essentially. So I undid the hitch, and I was willing to do it myself. I have done a couple of whip hitches before, so I wasn't thinking too much of it. I really couldn't get the strands the way that I wanted to. I'm not a whip maker, so trying to situate the strands in the way that I needed to start the rehitch was not happening. So I went to the post office, got this box, put it in there, and said, Tori, long story short, I'd like you to redo this. I got it right over to him as soon as I could. He was willing to do it over the weekend and shipped it right back to me. So now I would like to do a secondary unboxing video. I apologize for not doing the first one, but I just wanted to show it fresh out of this poorly beat box, goodness, and ultimately just show you how it is now with the new hitch. So here is an unboxing video of a Del Carpio 10-foot Crystal Skull Indiana Jones bullwhip. Every time I do unboxing videos, I like to take the tape off. You guys don't need to see me doing that. Okay, I don't need you. Looks like he packaged it in the same way that I did, which is fine. Just be careful, I don't want to drop it at all. Oh, I'm so glad to get this back. Here we go. Okay. So here it is, in its new condition, so to speak. Once again, 10-foot, whiskey-colored Crystal Skull bullwhip made by Bernardo Del Carpio and refurbished by Torrance of Swordguy builds. So I have seen the quality before. It's in great shape. I also wanted to tie that wrist loop there. I love doing that to longer Australian-style wrist loops, so I did that. We have I want to say a 5x7 2-pass heel nut, which is common for the style of whip, as well as a 2-pass on the transition nut. I'm also not sure if I mentioned, this is a 12 plat, not a 16 plat like the screen used whips, but still a really good replica. Bernardo gave this a really big transition, which I really like it. It's very solid. When I first took it out of the box last week, I could tell this was going to be a nice whip. Every single crack from it was going to be solid. I personally believe that Bernardo is really good at the transition all the way down to the hitch. It's very even. I would say on some of the, let's say, David Morgan style whips, you would see a bit of the transition carried out past the quarter mark. But ultimately, I feel like this does have an extremely good taper. Then we get down to an 8-point, and Torrance did a really good job rehitching this, better than I probably ever would. I simply requested him to leave about 1.5 inches sticking out the front, which is just screen accurate. You guys know me by now, I'm a screen accurate nut. And he also did this in the style of the original whips. If you look at the screen used whips from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the key strand was actually tucked through and pulled out the front so that there was no key strand coming out the back through the fall's eye. But on an Indiana Jones whip, this is way more rugged. I really do like these more, just because it's a little bit of an homage to David Morgan whips, and overall just it looks more the part. That's one thing, as I just said, I'm a screen accuracy nut, but this is one thing that I could pass up on. It might even hold better, but I really wouldn't know. Tori, if you are watching this, great job on that. I wouldn't have been able to do it any better. I'm actually pretty glad you kept the original fall. I'm not sure if it's red hide or if it's just Latigo, but it matches the whip. And I also requested a lighter colored cracker just for the contrast. I feel like on darker whips they look pretty cool, and when they get a lot of dirt on them it looks more authentic. I will give you guys a closer look at this amazing whip here in just a second, but ultimately, in terms of a thank you to Bernardo, this is the first time I've ever held one of his whips, and it is just incredible. If you are ever looking for a good replica whip for Indiana Jones, there's a lot of reputable makers out there, but I feel like Bernardo is one of the very best. If I took the top 3 best Indiana Jones whip makers, he would be in the top 3, no question about it. If I had to change anything on this whip, it would be the platting. I wish it were a 16 plat, but for being a 12, it still looks the part. It's still very good. It works the exact same way. Even if it were an 8 plat or let alone a 4 plat, it would still be good. As soon as I'm done making this video, I'm going to give it a good coat of conditioner, just because it came only a little dry, nothing too bad. And as mentioned, thank you Tori for helping me out with that. Kirk and I really do appreciate that. The next video is going to be of me cracking this, because if I were to do it today, there's a lot of snow outside, everything's melting, and it's extremely wet and gross. The weather is great. It's supposed to be 60s later on this week, but don't want to take a semi-dry whip and put it in moisture only to make that worse. So hopefully in a couple days I could do that for you all. I suppose along with everything I've talked about, if you are looking for a good Indiana Jones whip, you can commission them from multiple makers around the world, or if you're anything like me and you happen to hop on eBay almost every other day. I'm not obsessed with eBay. I'm probably on there more than the average person, but nothing wrong with that. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, you might get lucky and you might be able to come across a high-grade kangaroo hide whip, such as this one. I have seen many on there before, whether it's by Blake Brooding of Trinity Whip Co., Steve Townsend of Townsend Handcrafted Whips, a Del Carpio whip like this one, or sometimes you might come across other makers that I haven't heard of, or maybe you haven't heard of either, but it might be a good replica whip, and if the price is right, I highly suggest that you jump on it. Anyways, I appreciate you all watching. Definitely stay tuned for my next video where I'm going to be cracking this, and I will see you next time. Here is a closer look of this whip.